Times now has accessed exclusive details of the draft, and it proposes to increase the marriageable age of girls and also a complete ban on polygamy. Remember, earlier today, as a press conference had been addressed as well, the panel had said that the focus is going to be on ensuring equality for women. In fact, this is the statement that had been made earlier by the panel as well, and talking about the details of the draft, saying that the proposed Uniform Civil Code draft is now complete. The expert committee report and draft is likely to be submitted to the government soon. And this draft was made after receiving over 2 lakh submissions and meeting over 20,000 people across Uttarakhand. So this committee is going to make recommendations to bring in UCC, saying that overwhelming support for UCC has also helped the cause. In fact, the UCC also suggests changes on marriage, divorce, guardianship, custody as well as inheritance, with the focus being on safeguarding women, children and the differently abled. So in fact, Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai, while addressing the media, who's the chairperson of the UCC panel, also saying that the panel has worked towards ensuring that there is gender equality. So complete ban on polygamy is what we are looking at in these exclusive details. Harish, back with us. Yes, Harish.
Yes, the committee had said that its first meeting in this was held on 4th July 2022, and since then the committee had met 63 times, and there were wide deliberations in this regard. A subcommittee was considered last year to elicit public opinion by inviting written submissions as well as by organizing public dialogue programs, and the subcommittee began its public outreach program for border tribal village Mana and visited 40 different places in the state, covering all the districts, which culminated in a public discussion. And overall, the committee has said it has painstakingly taken into account all shades of opinions and looked into various statutes and uncodified laws, including the statutory framework in select countries. Besides, the committee has tried to understand the finer nuances of the various customary practices that prevail in different parts of the state, and come to a conclusion that there are several provisions in various personal laws of various religions which are discriminatory in nature, and all that will be submitted in a detailed report to be submitted very shortly to the state government. And the state government, as we know, has said that the moment it receives the draft, the UCC will study it, and very shortly the UCC will be implemented in the state. It is one of the key promises made by the Uttarakhand BJP government during the elections. Back to you.
Okay, all right. So, in fact, earlier today, as the panel addressed the media, Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai also mentioned that the focus is going to be on safeguarding women, children and differently abled, saying that there have been suggestions made on changes in laws for marriage, divorce, guardianship, custody as well as inheritance. Siddharth is also joining us. Siddharth, like we mentioned, the draft that has been prepared in Uttarakhand is going to be very, very closely and keenly watched, because this could set the tone for what we could expect across the nation.
Absolutely, Pratibha. So the questions, of course, are going to be as to whether or not the final draft of the central UCC, as and when it's formed, will it be essentially following the template that's now been set by Uttarakhand? That's the big question. Though Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai did say at the press conference that she's not willing to divulge any specific details about what the Uttarakhand draft is likely to look like, but nevertheless, sources have now indicated as to what the draft might contain. Some of the important aspects of this particular draft that we've now managed to access is, apart from the fact that polygamy and polyandry are likely to be completely banned, every marriage will now have to be registered. No government benefits will be available in the absence of any registration. And what's also important, Pratibha, is that live-in relationships will also therefore have to be registered, and the parents will be notified about the concerned couple agreeing to live in a live-in relationship. So that's another step that's been taken as per sources as far as this draft is concerned. Also, adoption will be accessible or available to everybody in question constitution, and also in the event of any differences emerging between a husband and wife, then the parents are likely to also be granted custody. That is something that this particular draft law is also mooting. So we'll of course have to wait for the fine print to emerge. What was also very important, Pratibha, is that the panel members did say during the press conference that the likely draft bill that Uttarakhand will come out with will in fact only strengthen the secular fabric of this country. Now, they've undertaken an extensive survey. More than 2 lakh people, including members of the scheduled tribes, have been consulted, and it's only after this that a final draft bill is likely to be released. We'll await the fine print, for these are the source-based contents of that draft bill for now.
Okay, all right. So some of the details that you've already mentioned, Siddharth, but mainly on marriage as well as divorce, like you mentioned, including no benefit of the government scheme without any registration of marriage, and the facility of marriage registration to be made available at the village level, while also saying that on equal grounds, both applying to husband and wife, and the basis of divorce is going to be applicable to both, and also saying there will be a complete ban on polygamy. Also mentioning halala and idat is also going to be banned.
Absolutely, those are all the other details of the contents of the possible draft law that might emerge, especially with regards to the increase in marriageable age of women and bringing in parity between men and women, increasing it to the age of 21. Pratibha, this is very much in line with what the central government has actually also mooted. In fact, it's prepared a bill to that effect already, which is now under consideration from a standing committee, and this had actually in fact resulted in a lot of polarized reactions coming from members
stay
of the
with us,
opposition.
Siddharth. Let's take in a word from Mr. Rashid Alvi of the Congress Party joining us. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Rashid Alvi. Exclusive details of the Uttarakhand UCC draft accessed on Times Now. What is your reaction? Suggestions that have been made to increase the marriageable limit?
I have not gone through the draft, but important thing is Uttarakhand government is going to pass this uniform civil code. Modi ji is going to pass in parliament. Yogi is going to pass in Uttar Pradesh. Every state wherever BJP is in power, they are going to pass uniform civil code, and in spite of that, it is known as uniform. They want uniformity in the country. Today there are 2-3 personal laws, and I am sure that after some time there may be 14-15 uniform civil code. What is this? Just for the election, just to get power, just to polarize the society? They can do anything in the country. It is very unfortunate. If you have to pass any uniform civil code, prepare a draft, pass in the parliament, implement in the country, consult all political parties, consult all religious parties. Prime Minister says it is not possible 2 laws for 2 bidders, but he is doing only for 1 bidder, not for 2 bidders.
Okay.
It is unfortunate.
Okay. In fact, the debate around it nationally going on, but the Uttarakhand government had said that a draft is already being prepared, and these are details of that draft from the Uttarakhand panel. Mr. Alvi, thank you for joining us. Thanking Siddharth as well for joining us with those inputs. Shifting our focus